Nvidia shares plunging 17% in yesterday's regular trading sessions, the biggest single-day market cap loss for a U.S. company. Joining us right now to talk about it is Chris Caso. He's Wolfe Research senior analyst. Chris, I think there's a lot of big questions that people describe this as a Sputnik moment. So let's just start there. Is it a Sputnik moment, and were you buying or selling yesterday?
Well, whether it's a Sputnik moment or not depends on, how the accuracy of the claims. And, I know you discussed that on the program, and I think that's the first place to start. And what, shocked people so much, and again, this news just didn't break over the weekend, it's been out for a while, is that they were able to provide, so much more efficiency in training as compared to OpenAI and everybody else that's doing it, and how are they able to do it in such a short span. DeepSeek couldn't have access to large clusters of Nvidia's most advanced chips. So necessity is the mother of invention. But the question is, is everything in the white paper, 100% accurate? And, given the magnitude of the moves yesterday, that's a really important place to start.
Well, but Crystal, let's go there, because I'll give you my perspective. I'm not sure it has to be 100% accurate. Meaning, I think there could be. It may be that they trained off of 50,000 of Nvidia's fastest chips, as Alex Wang said on our broadcast last week. It is possible that they are using and leveraging Llama and other open source services. It's possible, by the way, that they're scraping and leveraging things even like OpenAI and other sort of closed frontier. Maybe they're doing all of these things to get to this point. But I think the point is that they got to this point. And they got to it clearly with less energy than everybody else did. And ostensibly, for those who actually have now read through the code and understand it, they would tell you that you can start to build off of this in a much more efficient way than you could before.
Right. And that's an important point going forward. And, really the question here is, is the world going to need as much compute going forward as we thought, a week ago? And, at the very least, when you look at the announcements over the last week, SoftBank and such, $500 billion, the Meta comments, upwards of 60 billion or so. The big AI players in the U.S. are still planning on spending right now. And I don't get a sense that they're reassessing that just today. But that's the question going forward.
So you think that's interesting. So you think if there was a meeting yesterday inside of Microsoft, inside of a Google, inside you name the company, and they said our spending plans, again, what is that conversation? Is that conversation not that they're and by the way, it's not clear to me that they have to basically say we're not spending $80 billion tomorrow, right? That we've already signed that. I think the question is more in their planning meeting in 2026 and 27. Are they planning to spend another $80 billion in 29 and 30 and 31 the same way, right? That becomes the fundamental question. Right.
And at least what you could say thus far, and I wasn't party to any of those meetings they had, if they had meetings yesterday, it's a bit of a space race, right? So, what one of the things NVIDIA said for a while is that, nobody wants to be, the second model that comes out. That there's a big question about, time to market. The reason why OpenAI is in the position where it is, because ChatGPT came on the scene before anybody else, and it was pretty good. And you go from there. We're now in reasoning models, right? So that's kind of the next frontier. And, moving the ball forward on that is really important. I still get the sense, and I think that's probably over the next 1 or 2 years, that each one of these large companies is still going to want to be on the forefront. Mm-hmm. If you figure out a way to do it more cheaply, well, of course you're going to do that, and so that goes without saying. But I still don't think, given the stakes in AI, that anybody is going to want to slow down and say, you know what, I can save myself a ton of money and I can be number 3 in the market. That doesn't seem to be where people's heads are.
I hear you. I just don't know if it's an order of magnitude. We got to go, but I just don't know enough about whether it's orders of magnitude less, meaning it's not just I want to spend less money. It's that I don't even have to spend as much money and I can get the same output or even better, right? That's, I think, the fundamental question, and we still don't have answers on it. But Chris,
and I'll tell you that there's a place we'll find out the Nvidia GTC event in March. That's the the AI event. Everybody's there. There's a big keynote by Jensen. Absolutely, positively, we're going to hear more about it then.
Mark your calendar. What date is that? You know?
It's like third week of March. I forget the date exactly.